Hey everyone, this is Arafel, and then today I'm going to be demonstrating what happens in Link to the Past when you get certain items in unexpected order. Particularly things like the glove and the sword that have levels to them, but also some other things that you might not expect to be linked if you're a casual player. Speedrunners probably know all about this, but in any case, I'm using the practice ROM as I often do for convenience. I'll give myself some health so I don't die easily. Health armor, boots for convenience, moon pearl also for convenience, and the hammer because I'm going to need it. Also mirror for convenience. So this is starting out just past the escape sequence, so this is right at the beginning of the game. I have basically nothing except what I just gave myself. No story progression. First I'm going to go after the Titan's Mitts. I'm pretty sure you could glitch there if you're good enough at glitching, but I'm just going to take advantage of some of the capabilities of the practice ROM to just stick myself in the dark world by playing around with the flags. We still have light world music in some of the graphics because I forced the change instead of going through a proper transition, but as far as the game's concerned, for all practical purposes, this is the Dark World, and this takes us straight into Thieves Town. Okay, if all went well, I cut out that in the video editing. So here we are at the room with the Titan's Mitts. I have a key ready, I have the hammer ready, so let's just go in. As I do not have power gloves, open the chest, and there's the Titan's Mitts. The game doesn't care that I don't already have power gloves. This chest has Titan's Mitts, and it doesn't matter what you already have. So now I can come out of the dungeon, head over to the Frogman. And because I have the Titan's Mitts, I can pick these up, throw them around, talk to him, he'll now follow me. I'll take him back to his partner, and see what happens if I try to have them temper the basic sword. Again, I have just the basic sword here, no master sword. I talk to them, like, hey, we'll temper your sword for 10 rupees. Like, okay. Oh, I don't have money. Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Fill rupees. Okay, there we go. They've taken my sword, they're working on tempering it. This is something I didn't confirm until just recently, but the smiths work just like the magic powder, meaning that they finish as soon as you leave this screen and come back. So any overworld transition or mirror transition. And there it is, Temper Sword. Never had the Master Sword, but all of a sudden I have the Temper Sword, because the game doesn't actually check. They give you the Temper Sword no matter what you did. So, you can probably guess what happens now if I go get the pendants and then go to this Master Sword pedestal, but just in case, we'll demo that anyway. Okay, here we are at the Master Sword pedestal with all the pendants. We have the Tempered Sword. Unsurprisingly, because this hasn't already happened, the cutscene happens. The sword pops out, and it's the Master Sword. And then Sasrael is going to talk for a while, so just fast forward through this. Yep. We downgraded from the Tempered Sword to the Master Sword. Because again, the game never expected you to do this, so there's nothing to check that you're actually trying it. And for whatever reason, it doesn't use progressive items. It's not like, here's a sword, you get your sword stronger. It's just, this is the Master Sword specifically. The Smith gives you the Tempered Sword specifically. The Pyramid Fairy gives you the Gold Sword specifically, but because you need to have the Tempered Sword to throw it in, that doesn't actually affect anything. As you might expect, same applies for the gloves. I come here with the Titan's mitts, I open it up, and get the power gloves. And my mitts have been downgraded. Again, because the game never expects you to do this, so there's nothing to check that you're trying it, and nothing to prevent it from happening. So yeah, if you sequence break the game too much, bad things can happen, and if you're sequence breaking that much already, you probably know how to glitch it well enough that the game is not unbeatable, but again. Now after all that, you're probably expecting that, hey, the game doesn't care what you have, what you've already opened, what you haven't, just give you what's in them and that's it. And for the most part that's true, but oddly enough there are a few chests that don't do that. So, I'll start by demonstrating how the lamp works. This is obviously on the English version of the ROM. I'm just starting up a new game here. So we're going through the opening test with Zelda's telepathic message, please help me. Uncle's like, hey, I'm going to go out into the rain and get myself injured. And of course, if you're playing normally, the first thing you do is come over, open this chest, you get the lamp. But what happens if we don't do that? We just found our injured uncle, got sword and shield from him. And you come over here. This chest looks weirdly fancy for having just 5 rupees. That's because it also has the lamp, if you don't already have a lamp. But what happens if we skip this one too? Again, it's not like the game's forcing you to take it, so why not? Keep going. Okay, welcome back. I've just rescued Zelda from her cell, and here we have another ramp. Okay, but what happens if we skip this one? Surely the game's not going to keep throwing lamps at us until we finally get one, right? Okay, so here we are at the throne room. This is where we would actually want the lamp. Zelda's like, hey, do you have one? But if we come over and try to push the shelf, it doesn't actually push until you actually have a lamp. So at this point, the game's like, okay, that's enough of your nonsense, just get the lamp, and then you can go on. So no, those are the only 3 chests in the game that have lamp in them, but it's kind of interesting that there are 3 different chests that could have the lamp. Whichever one you open first has it, the other 2 will have 5 rupees. It's kind of weird that the game does that for the lamp, but not for anything else. But does it though? So at this point I tried opening up Hyrule Magic, that's an editor for the game. I was wondering if you could change how these items work. Turns out there is, as far as I can tell, nothing that lets you change the setup for these, but it does say when you're setting chest contents that if you pick lamp, it says it has an alternate item of 5 rupees. So I skimmed through the item, checked, does anything else have something like that? Turns out there are. So here we are in a version of the game I've edited to have a few chests in Link's house that have these other items that have alternate items. So on the inside 2 chests I have the blue boomerang. If you open a boomerang chest when you already have the boomerang, you get 10 arrows instead. The outer 2 chests have the red boomerang, or a magical boomerang if you prefer. If you already have it when you open one, you get 300 rupees instead. Now here's where things get a little weird. If you have either boomerang, and you open any kind of boomerang chest, you get the alternate item, regardless of which boomerang you have. So if you have the blue boomerang, if you open the red boomerang chest when you have a blue boomerang, you get the money. So all these chests are linked to whether you have a boomerang or not. It doesn't care which boomerang. Now, I thought at first that the game didn't actually use that. Turns out that's not true. A quick internet search turned up that there are chests that have alternate boomerangs. So, I'll be going back to the practice room problem to show where those are. Okay. The first chest is right here in Kakarika Village. If you come into what's popularly known as the Chicken Hut, bomb through the wall. Normally, you get to this point, you open the chest, you find just 10 arrows, but if you did not pick up the boomerang in the castle, it's right here. Which, like the alternate lamp chests, I thought it seemed a little odd that you went to all this trouble to get this and it's in this fancy little side place and all you have is arrows, but no, if you didn't get the boomerang, it has the boomerang. But if you don't get either of those and you go deeper into the game, well, I'll see you there. So, it turns out the other boomerang is in more or less the same place, just in the other world. So if you get all the way to the Village of Outcasts without picking up any boomerang, I'll bomb your way in here. Normally this chest has 300 rupees, but if you don't have a boomerang, there's a magic boomerang. And apparently speedrunners will actually use this to get a boomerang, the red boomerang specifically, fairly easily, without bothering with the earlier chests and without going to the Waterfall of Wishes to do the upgrade thing. Yeah, it's just kind of weird and surprising that the game has these, where chests care about what you have, for basically side items that you don't really need, and yet the main inventory items like your sword and your glove and so on, it doesn't care what you already have. Which is kind of odd that they have that functionality in the game, but they only use it for boomerangs and the lamp. Kind of an odd design decision if you ask me, but hey, it's what they did. It works out well enough unless you're glitching pretty badly, so I mean, that's all that matters in the long run, right?